I'm Jay Stone. Welcome to another episode of my show at rockmetaltalk.com. That was Apple Pie by the band White Trash. Some of you may remember them from MTV days when they actually played videos. That was actually a hit song in their rotation. And I have Dave on the phone, the lead singer, and I'd like to welcome him to the show. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Hey, Jay, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Cool. So, just talk about a little history of the band. What made you guys decide on the name White Trash? Because a lot of people actually find it shocking. Like when I was telling people, they're like, who you having on the show? I'm like, Dave from the band White Trash. They're like, White Trash. What? So what made you decide on that name?
It was basically like poking fun at ourselves. There's a movie called Poor White Trash, like a B movie, and always liked kind of the B movie stuff. And this is a really cool movie with Tim Carey. And so always liked the movie, and then, just the idea of sort of, in the same sense, the way like NWA was sort of,
right,
segregating themselves, same thing, same kind of idea. And so let's take it too literally. It's sort of like tongue-in-cheek.
Right.
But, we're sort of just bashing ourselves a little bit. But,
I think it's great. But was that always the name of the band when you originally formed, or did you go through a number of name changes?
There were actually, me and bass player Aaron and his brother Ethan from the original lineup. We all lived literally across the street from each other. And so we've been playing together since we were 13. And I mean, the first show we did actually was at Aaron Collins' bar mitzvah. It was the first time we played together. But we had several different bands before we got to White Trash. So I think the first one was called Blade. It was kind of like a metal, cover band doing like the high school battle of the band. And then after that we became Wired is the name, and that's our high school years. Cocaine was really big in those days, and so we were Wired. And it was also the name of a Jeff Beck album that was a really cool Jeff Beck album, and then each time we broke up, we get back together. We kind of came up with a new thing, and then so we came up with a White Trash, and then that was the the project that stuck.
So that White Trash was 1985 when it was established.
I think White Trash is probably when we were playing in 1985. But I think White Trash, the name, probably, and the lineup that was actually on the first album probably came together more like 1988.
So you guys signed to Elektra Records. That the album came out in 91.
Right.
That Elektra Records back then, that was pretty big deal. So some people say you guys are like the New York answer to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't know if I believe that, because I mean,
definitely Aaron and our drummer Mike were definitely into the Chili Peppers. I like the Chili Peppers. I mean, I was always more into at that time, like Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith and stuff like that. So it was sort of like Aaron and Mike were like kind of Chili Peppers influenced, and then me and Ethan were sort of like the poser metalheads. And so that's, how the sound kind of came together, I mean, we all had other interests, everybody listened to different music. It wasn't quite that cut and dry, but, in some sense, like we were the guys with the leather pants, and and they were the guys with the with the mohawks and surf shorts,
Right. So now it was different for the style of music that was really being played back then. What made you guys incorporate the Badass Brass into the mix?
Well, we basically, kind of followed the path of some of our the bands that we listened to, which is like Aerosmith occasionally would use horns or some kind of blues arrangement type stuff. And, as you get more into music, you start listening to actual blues, and you hear all the horns and organs and harmonicas and stuff like that, and backup singers. So we tried a lot of that stuff. First, we started to incorporate harmonica. Before we had the horns, we actually had, like, backup singers. We had these 3 girls. They were called the Love Dogs. That was, like, our first kind of gimmick that we had, these girls singing backups. They weren't really singers. They weren't very good, and they just kind of got drunk at the show, and it was, kind of stupid. But, we were always trying to, like, do something, like, different from what everybody else was doing performance-wise. And we wound up getting some horn players that Aaron and Mike went to school with. And, we were like, let's try to do, like the blues guys like Albert King, like let's get some horns involved. And that just instantly clicked. It really just, really made the sound completely different, and it just took us in a direction. It sort of really solidified what we were trying to do, and, made us a little different than what a lot of the other bands in the rock scene were doing.
Yeah, it was definitely different because now you had grunge coming up at that time. The hair metal era was just slightly fading out. So,
Exactly.
I mean, how did Elektra Records find you guys?
Well, what actually happened, I mean, I'll give you a sort of long story, is that, we used to play in New York a lot, and at the Cat Club, we wound up getting a publishing deal with EMI at the New Music Seminar. And part of the publishing deal that we got is that they were going to shop the record to a major label, because really them having the publishing and us not being signed really didn't do them any good. So the agreement was that if they couldn't get us a record deal, that we could get out of the contract. So it was kind of a win-win. And as they were shopping around, we talked to a lot of different people at that point. Disney had a label called Hollywood Records, and they wanted to meet us and sign us. And they flew us out to L.A., and they took us to Disneyland. What's the one in California? Disneyland or Disney World? I get confused.
I'm
Disneyland.
not sure. I never been to either one, so I think it's Disneyland, yeah.
Well, it was cool because basically we were the guests of Disney, so you didn't have to wait online. They gave you the passes and stuff. But it was kind of funny because they wanted to bring, like, other people, like, to hang out with us. And they for whatever reason, this is kind of strange, they brought the Nelson twins, the Nelson?
Yeah.
The Nelson. This is before they were out. We were hanging out with them there. And it was kind of a weird scene, and Hollywood Records was a new label, but the CEO was this guy Pete Paterno, who had been Metallica's lawyer, and he basically said, that we needed good management, and so he took us over to Q Prime, who manages Metallica, and then what was kind of messed up about it, though, is that he introduced us to them. They really liked us, and then they said, "Nah, you don't want to work with Pete in Hollywood Records." And they said, "We have Metallica on Elektra. We could pretty much make any kind of deal we want over there."
Right.
So that's how we got to Elektra. So with their clout over at Elektra, it was we got a really big deal with a lot of good benefits, and we were off and running.
Right, no doubt. Did you have the album recorded or already, and they picked you up, or was it something they threw you guys in the studio to do?
Well, we didn't have the album, but what we did do is that with EMI gave us money, to do a better demo than we had. We had like a 3-song demo, and then so we went in to a place in New York, and we threw a 4-song demo together. And they also gave us money to shoot a video. So the video that was on MTV for Apple Pie, we made before we had a record deal. And the version that you hear in the video is our demo. It's not the version from the album.
Really? That's definitely interesting.
Yeah, because it was, everyone just loved the video, like, made by a guy named Evan Stone, and he did a really good job. It was really down and dirty. I think we spent like $2,000 on the whole thing and went under the 59th Street Bridge.
Right.
And just kind of improvised and had fun, and, you know, I think that kind of comes through when you look at the video. So once we got signed,